Hello, hello, hello. I am sharing at this time, and I hope that you too are sharing. Please share, please share. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to get started here in a second. I am sharing, of course, and please, you too share. Can you guys hear me well? Whoever is in the comments, can you please say yay or nay if you cannot hear me well, as well as what is the quality? Because based on what I'm seeing, the quality seems to be fine, but I just want to double check with you guys. So can you hear me? Can you type a yay in the comments if you can hear me? If you cannot hear me well, can you type a nay? I guess that would defeat the purpose. So yay if you can hear me. Welcome in, welcome in. Just giving people a chance to join. Can you guys hear me well? Can you put a yay in the comment if you can hear me well? Awesome sauce. Thank you, Brandon. What's going on, man? Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Giving people about one more minute and we're going to get started. So if you're here, don't leave. If you are here, do not leave. We got something new for you guys on tonight. So do not leave. Please do not leave. Matter of fact, can you share? Can you share the live? And if you haven't had an opportunity to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, could you please do so? If you don't mind, I would really love it if you would subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I will actually put that in the comments now. So yes, if you have not had an opportunity to subscribe to my channel, if you care, please do so at this time. Oh snap, I see some new subscribers. Thank you all that have recently subscribed. Definitely appreciate you. And I just put the YouTube page in the chat as well for those of you that have not subscribed at this time. Do y'all like that little theme music, that little elevator music in the background? So while we're waiting, I want to show you guys, look at this upgrade. This little cool little upgrade. You know, I wanted to be a little more official. So we went out and we got, you know, like you see on the TV shows. And this is Passionately Aiming and Manifesting LLC. So this is official checking in with Pam LLC note cards. And so, you know, you won't see me looking at a notepad anymore. You will see me using the official note card. So that's another thing that's new, y'all. We wanted to do more this season. So we're in season 4, and so we're coming back bigger and better. And so again, you see we got the official note card here. And so I'm excited to be able to use this, as well as I'm excited to tell you guys about the new segment that we're going to be discussing here on tonight. So I hope you enjoy. Your feedback is extremely important, and I definitely would appreciate your feedback. All right. So since I got you guys here, I do not want to lose you. I know that this is dinner time for most, and for some, it's already time for bedtime, which I totally understand because I'm typically in bed about that 9:30 time. So thank you for those that are joining. Thank you in advance for those that's gonna go and they're gonna review the video later. Again, I just appreciate you for coming back, tuning in with Checking In with Pam LLC. So, with that being said, we have a new segment on tonight, and the new segment on tonight is, in fact, entitled In Other News. Okay. And so, in other news is going to be one of those segments where I bring to you, excuse me, where I bring to you any type of news that's trending on social media, any type of news that I see or is shared with me in terms of, we don't really talk about politics here, but if there's something that's happening that obviously all of us need to know about, we would definitely share that here, as well as just anything that anyone kind of brings to me. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But then we also will still get into our traditional topics like we always do as well. So I want to make sure you guys know that we still are going to be talking about our regular topics as well. Okay. And so, again, this segment here is, in fact, entitled In Other News. So, I checked with you all, and you all told me that you really, really, really like when we incorporate the videos. So, I do actually have videos that we will be incorporating as well. I did see the numbers shift a little bit, but of course, I know that you might even go back and you may look a little bit later on. So, with that being said, I do not want to hold you guys long, so I will play the first video. And so this first video, just to kind of give you a little backstory, this first video actually occurred here in North Carolina. And so I will play the video and then we will dissect the video once we had an opportunity to review it. So for those of you that are tuning in, I wanted to show you the new note cards that we're going to be using here at Checking In with Pam LLC. But then I also want to let you know that we are about to talk. We're about to do a new segment, and the new segment is entitled In Other News. So we're still going to talk about the regular topics, but this segment here is entitled In Other News. And in other news is going to be social things that's trending on social media, some things about politics, because we don't really like to go too far into politics. But then we're also going to talk about other news that may, surface. And this first video that I'm about to show you is something that actually happened here in North Carolina just last week. So please take a quick peek at this video and we will dissect.
After they say their 2-year-old died during a dental surgery procedure. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Anderson.
And I'm John Carter. The inevitable question, how could that happen? Well, WBTV investigative reporter Naomi Coles digs deeper into the story.
Ermias Mitchell was David and Shardae's miracle baby. His mom had been told she'd never have children. This video, taken early Thursday morning, is the last time his parents saw Ermias alive. The 2-year-old was at Valley Gate Dental Surgery Center in Greensboro to get teeth caps. Not long after his dad took this video, Ermias was taken back for his procedure. His parents waited in the lobby. His aunt explains what happened next.
She FaceTimed us. Usually when Shardae FaceTime, something is wrong. She said, my baby not breathing.
And so I did see somebody join a little bit later. So I'm going to play the video one more time. It's only 58 seconds. So take a quick peek at this video and we're going to dissect it.
After they say their 2-year-old died during a dental surgery procedure. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Anderson.
And I'm John Carter. The inevitable question, how could that happen? Well, WBTV investigative reporter Naomi Coles digs deeper into the story.
Ermias Mitchell was David and Shardae's miracle baby. His mom had been told she'd never have children. This video, taken early Thursday morning, is the last time his parents saw Ermias alive. The 2-year-old was at Valley Gate Dental Surgery Center in Greensboro to get teeth caps. Not long after his dad took this video, Ermias was taken back for his procedure. His parents waited in the lobby. His aunt explains what happened next.
She FaceTimed us. Usually when Sade FaceTime, something is wrong. She said, my baby not breathing.
Okay. And so just to give you guys a little bit of backstory, on July 17th, this family took their 2-year-old son in to the Valley, I know it's Valley Dental Practice in Greensboro, North Carolina. And they went in because the baby needed some caps on his teeth. And they prepared the baby for surgery. They took the baby back. They gave him anesthesia. And while the parents were actually sitting in the waiting room, and so the parents were sitting in the waiting room, and the parents stated that all they noticed was about 30 to 40 minutes of their son being in the back. They saw an ambulance that came to the dental practice. And when the ambulance arrived at the dental practice, they were not informed that their son was actually unconscious and that they had been performing CPR on their son about 30 minutes. They then placed the son in the ambulance, transported him to a nearby hospital in Greensboro, North Carolina, without even notifying the parents. So the baby rode to the hospital without either parent. They as in Valley Dental Practice, shared with the parents what happened. It was at that time that the parents, father and mother, had to rush to the hospital. And when they rushed to the hospital, it was at that time that they actually declared the baby dead. And I think this is something that might need to be unpacked a little bit, because, well, how does that happen? Many questions tend to surface in people's mind. How did this happen? Was it something that the parents could have done? Was it something that maybe the parents could have taken the child to get a wellness check just to be on the safe side? But the child was 2. We don't really know. At this time, it has not been discussed or shared whether the baby had any previous health conditions that may have caused this. There's no further information on it at this time, but it is definitely something to kind of think about. If everything appeared to be fine, and that was actually mom's miracle baby. Mom reported that was her miracle child. The doctors told her that she wouldn't even be able to have a child, and to have a child, raise the child until the child is 2. You take the child to go to the dentist to get some caps, and then unfortunately the child passed, but no one told you as the child is basically transitioning. How would you feel about that? Let's unpack that for a little bit. Do you guys need to see the video again? I do see here that there were some others that kind of jumped in. So do you guys need to see the video again just so that you can get more of a gist in terms of the story? Do you guys need to see it again? Type in the comments. I do have my Facebook up and I have my YouTube up. So if you need me to share that again, I absolutely can. All right. So I can tell you while I'm waiting to see if people will respond, I can tell you that if it were my child, first of all, why am I not allowed to come in the room with my child? And I know that in a lot of dentist office, a lot of dental practices, the space may be limited. But my question would be, as a parent, hey, and I'm not saying that they didn't ask. So please, we're not swaying anybody's decision. I, as a person, would have the question, why, as a parent, can I not come in the back? So for those of you that are tuning in at this time, I'm going to play this clip really quickly so that you can get a gist of what it is that we're discussing. And this segment is, in fact, in other news. So I'm going to place it here on the side. One quick second.
They say their 2-year-old died during a dental surgery procedure. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Kim Anderson.
And I'm John Carter. The inevitable question, how could that happen? Well, WBTV investigative reporter Naomi Coles digs deeper into the story.
Ermias Mitchell was David and Shardae's miracle baby. His mom had been told she'd never have children. This video, taken early Thursday morning, is the last time his parents saw Ermias alive. The 2-year-old was at Valley Gate Dental Surgery Center in Greensboro to get teeth caps. Not long after his dad took this video, Ermias was taken back for his procedure. His parents waited in the lobby. His aunt explains what happened next.
She FaceTimed us. Usually when Sade FaceTime, something is wrong. She said, my baby not breathing.
So just to, again, give you guys some backstory, this actually happened here in Greensboro, North Carolina. The name of the dentist practice is Valley Dental Practice. And again, it's located in Greensboro, North Carolina. Two parents took their 2-year-old son to the dentist. They were told that their son simply needed caps. Of course, they had to give him a little bit of anesthesia, and they were told that they needed to wait in the lobby. As they were waiting in the lobby, they saw an ambulance arrive at Valley Dental Practice in in Greensboro, North Carolina. And at that time, they were not certain as to what was happening. No information was provided to them, only for it to be learned later that they were performing, they as in the team of ambulance that came there, first responders, they were working on their son for approximately 30 minutes. Then they transported him to the nearby hospital without giving any information to the parents at the time. They then broke the news to the parents. The parents then had to rush behind their son that was already at the hospital, in which he was already unfortunately declared dead. And so my question to you all is, as a parent, how would you feel if something like this happened? How would you feel if they tell you, hey, I have to take your son or your child in the back, I have to perform the surgery on them, but there's not an area that you can see the child, there's not an area in which you can come and wait in the room? How would you feel about that? Can you guys let me know in the comment section how you would feel about that? Of course, I have my thoughts on it, but I just wanted to kind of check in with you. How would you feel about your child having a surgery, your child unfortunately become unresponsive, no one informs you as your child is unresponsive, you then have to find out as you're rushing behind the ambulance, not knowing that your child is in the ambulance and not knowing that by the time you get to the hospital that your child would be in fact declared deceased? How would you feel? Thomas came in and said, yeah, that's messed up all the way around. Exactly. I definitely agree. I do think that they should have, informed the parents as to what was going on. Maybe they knew something that could have helped the child. Who knows? There's so many different, angles that this could have gone. We don't know at this time whether there were any pre-existing conditions. Again, this happened on July 17th in Greensboro, North Carolina. So it has not been determined at this time what may have caused the young fella to pass. So Kim came in and said they would not have taken my child in the back without me. If I couldn't go, the procedure would not have been done. Simply put, if I cannot go, or at least be in a waiting area where I can see, because I do understand that in some dentist offices or dental practices, the space may be a little bit smaller, right? But if the space is smaller, should there not at least be an option where I can visit, I can see, what's going on, even if I cannot physically be in there? Is that not something that should be? I can remember, how many of you guys can kind of remember as a child your parent being able to come in the room with you. I can remember when I got my filling, my mom was in the room. When I got teeth pulled, my mom was in the room. So I honestly cannot remember a time where my mother was not in the room with me whenever I went to the dentist. What say you guys? What say you guys? Was your mom or parents able to be present when you went to go get a dental cleaning or what have you when you were a child? And thank you, Thomas, and thank you, Kim, for responding. I really appreciate that. And of course, I'm checking the comments just to kind of see if you guys are responding to anything. But again, I cannot honestly remember a time as a child where my parent was not in the room with me. So I don't know, of course, Kim came in and said her mom was always in the room. Absolutely. I can't remember a time where my mom was not in the room when I went to go get a routine dental anything. I don't remember my mom, especially with the child being a minor. I can understand if the child is, 16, a teenager, and the child may not necessarily want the parent in the room. That I can totally understand. But as a minor child, just trying to understand the dynamics and why were the parents not allowed to go in the back where their child was receiving a dental procedure? Why were they not allowed to go in the back? Why were they not notified immediately when the child became unresponsive, rather than them having to find out approximately 30 to 40 minutes after it has already transpired? What are you guys' thoughts on that? The dentist's office always seemed like eye-open and welcome place. Exactly. So parents typically, at least the dentist practice, dental practices that I've gone to, I agree. The dentist's office always seemed as if, it's a welcoming environment so that the parents can come in the back. So I definitely agree. So it does, unfortunately, it seems a little odd that the parents were not allowed to come in the back where their child was to receive the caps on his teeth. It does seem a little odd. And again, they were first-time parents. The mom, she was told that she had a miracle child that she wasn't even able to conceive, let alone be able to go full term and then be able to give birth, groom this baby up until he was 2 years old. And then unfortunately, he go for a routine dental procedure. I know a lot of kids that got caps when they were kids. And again, the parents were able to go in the back. So just trying to unpack that a little bit and figure out what may have occurred that the parents were not allowed to go in the back. So I do see that there's some people that recently joined. Thank you for joining. We are navigating a new segment called In Other News, where we kind of discuss some things that's trending on social media, a little bit about politics, but not a lot, as well as other news. So in other news. And so we just finished talking about in Greensboro, North Carolina on July 17th, where a 2-year-old unfortunately passed getting a routine dental procedure where they were putting in caps on his teeth. He became unresponsive. The parents were not notified immediately when the child became unresponsive. The team, and I'm saying the team because it's not clear whether the nurses started performing CPR on the child or whether EMS, when they arrived, started to perform CPR on the child. But nonetheless, the parents were not notified and the child was unresponsive for almost 30 to 40 minutes. And they had to find out as their child was already on the way to the hospital. And unfortunately, the child passed. And so just wanted to kind of bring you guys up to speed. So if I said something that kind of stood out to you, please let me know. I am going to proceed on to the next story. Something else that recently occurred on July 20th, the world, in fact, was shocked to learn about Malcolm Jamal Warner. And so I'm going to play a little bit of a little clip, here just so that you guys can kind of be brought up to speed. And then, of course, I'll come back and I'll share more information in a few moments.
Now we finally have an update on the drowning death of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, according to ABC7, they stated that Malcolm Jamal Warner had drowned while he was on vacation in Costa Rica. Now, the article goes on to say that Warner had drowned off the coast of Costa Rica on Sunday. So this actually occurred on Sunday. They stated that the Costa Rican National Police had told this to ABC News. Now, the coroners in Costa Rica had also labeled his death by asphyxia. But the article goes on to state that the actor died near Cocles, which is a beach in Limon, Costa Rica. Police told ABC7 that he, being Malcolm Jamal Warner, was caught in a high current in the water and was discovered on Sunday afternoon. Now, the article doesn't state if he was caught in that current on Saturday and then he had been found on Sunday, or if all of these events occurred on Sunday. But I suppose the details around his drowning doesn't matter because he does leave behind a wife and a child, who I'm almost certain is completely devastated by the loss of her husband and the father of her child. Now, as more details about this story comes out, I promise I'm going to keep you guys posted. But again, I pray that you keep him and his wife and his daughter in your prayers, because this is definitely a trying time, because nobody should ever have to watch their loved one go out tragically.
All right. And so again, as they shared in the video on July 20th, which was this past Sunday, as you saw, Malcolm was in fact swimming on a vacation in Costa Rica. And unfortunately, the current was too high. The report says that based on people that's close to the family stated that Malcolm Jamal Warner was in fact a great swimmer. So it unfortunately sounds as if the currents were just simply too high and he wasn't able to, unfortunately, swim out from the current. And so at this time, of course, we definitely want to recognize all of the accolades that Malcolm Jamal Warner had. Of course, a lot of us were introduced to Malcolm Jamal Warner on The Cosby Show, right? I can remember as a kid watching The Cosby Show, seeing him being in a house full of women and, of course, his dad, and he still being able to kind of stand on his own. It just well-rounded, as well as also being able to kind of see as Malcolm where things went with his career. Malcolm was a producer. He was a poet. He was an artist. There were so many other things that Malcolm Jamal Warner did. And so, again, unfortunately, on July 20th, Malcolm Jamal died at the age of 54. And again, it is reported that he died in Costa Rica where the current was too high as he was swimming. And again, those close to the family stated that he was in fact a great swimmer, but unfortunately it sounds being reported that the currents may have been too high and they're not entirely sure what may have occurred in that case. All right. And so I wanted to kind of take this opportunity to, of course, talk about Malcolm Jamal Warner. How were you introduced to Malcolm Jamal Warner? How were you introduced? And again, this is something that's new, you guys, so I definitely need your feedback. But how were you introduced to Malcolm? Were you introduced to Malcolm Jamal Warner as Theo in the Cosby Show, which is weird. The Cosby Show, but their last name was the Huxtable. Maybe that's something that we need to discuss. Were you introduced to Malcolm Jamal Warner as Theo in the Cosby Show? Were you introduced to Malcolm Jamal Warner in the Cosby Show as Theo, as I was? All right. Thomas came in and said the Cosby Show. Thank you, Thomas, for sharing. All right. Anyone else? Introduced to Malcolm Jamal Warner on the Cosby Show? There's a list. I did not know. This was something as I was researching for In Other News. That's the new segment. So for those of you that are tuning in the Other News is the new segment where we talk about trending topics on social media, a little bit about politics, and in other news, we talk about other news that surfaces as well. And so we're currently talking about the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner. And I did not know. So this is a fun fact about Malcolm Jamal Warner. I did not know that he actually produced a video for Whitney Houston, the first video of Whitney Houston once she had Bobby Christina. So that's actually a fun fact. I do not know the name of the song that he did. That part slipped my mind, so please forgive me. I didn't have enough space to write on my new note cards here. So again, if you like this look, let me know about that as well. Kim came in and said, yes, I loved him more recently in The Resident. Right, I did see that he was in The Resident. I did not watch it, so I can't really give any information on that. But I did see that he was, in fact, in The Resident. Absolutely. He just honestly seemed like a really all-around cool guy. He seemed very, very grounded. In fact, I remember as I was researching for today, I remember looking at a clip that actually talks about how Malcolm Jamal Warner's mom kind of explained to him about how, preparing himself, putting certain things in place, whether that be, taking roles that would show him, in a positive light, not really taking roles that would typecast him, and how at some point the opportunities may kind of slow. So therefore he had to kind of prepare himself for it. And so you could kind of see that throughout his journey as an actor, as an all around, actor, artist, producer, so forth and so on. You kind of saw that in the roles that he kind of took. So it seemed as if, at an early age, that information kind of stuck with him. And that was something that he was able to take into adulthood as well. So for those of you that are currently tuning in, we are in fact talking about the unfortunate passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner that occurred it was reported on July 20th, this past Sunday. All right. So another, as I was preparing for tonight's show, another video surfaced, and I said, hey, well, I think we need to kind of talk about this. So I'm going to play this video and then we'll dissect it. All right. So let me switch screens. Here we go.
So what I did wrong? Yeah. He said,
exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle.
When he pulled me over, he walked up, opened my door because my window don't work, right? Okay. And then I said, so what I did wrong? Yeah. He said, well, for one, your headlights are off under this weather. I'm like, okay. There's multiple people headlights off, first of all. And then there's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Can you pull that law up?
Huh?
Can you pull that law up?
Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Can you call your supervisor? Huh? Can you call your supervisor?
All right, go for it. Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands. Here.
I'm here. What is your reason, sir?
Step out.
What is your reason?
Step out now. All right.
No, don't.
And so that video was in fact recorded by the young man that's shown in the video. This occurred in Florida. I cannot remember which part. Jacksonville, Florida. It was recorded in Jacksonville, Florida, by the young man. But of course, there's now 2 videos that's out. So just to kind of give you a little bit of insight. So this video clip was actually released last week, but the incident actually occurred in February of this year. And so it is being reported that the lawyer working with the young man kind of, did not give any information at the time as to when to release the video. And so it seemed that at this time, the young man released the video immediately thereafter. The Jacksonville, Florida police had a press conference, and then they released the body cam footage of what occurred. And so based off of that body cam footage, typical. Based off of that body cam footage, the officer allegedly stopped the young man because he saw that the young man did not have a seatbelt on and he did not have headlights on, and it was raining in Jacksonville, Florida. And according to what happened in the video, the young man, as he opens the door, because he said that his window did not roll down. So when he opened the door, he shared with the officer, hey, what am I being stopped for? The officer shares with him, hey, you're being stopped because you were not wearing a seatbelt and you did not have on your lights in inclement weather. And so the young man said, well, hey, can you call your supervisor? He spoke in a calm tone based off of what I saw in the video. And I saw both videos. I saw the body cam of the officer, and I also saw the video in which the young man recorded, which is what I just showed you guys. And based off of what was being stated, the young man, the demeanor that you saw with the young man asking questions, what did I do? Why am I wrong? That is the same exact demeanor that the body cam footage of the Jacksonville, Florida officer body cam showed as well. And so just want to kind of unpack that a little bit. And this was titled Blue Lives Matter ? And the reason why that was titled that way is because I don't know if you were able to see at the end, but there were literally 5 police officers when he basically said, no, I'm not getting out of the car. Can you please get your supervisor? They, as you saw, broke his window. They drug him out. There were a total of 5 police officers there. We're not talking or trying to make it about a race thing, but there were, in fact, what appeared to be maybe a Caucasian male, 2 males that could have been Caucasian, or maybe something else, not entirely sure. And then what appeared to be 2 African-American officers, which is why the title is Blue Lives Matter. And so what are your thoughts about that video that was just shown? Do you think that they use excessive force? Do you think that they could have potentially handled that situation in a different light? Or what are your thoughts based off of what you saw from the video and based off of what I kind of shared with you? And again, I'm using alleged because I'm a small platform and we do understand that, you know, there are many different nuances and things that could in fact have happened. So allegedly, the video that I showed you is in fact what is trending on TikTok at this time. So what are your thoughts based off of the video? Do you think that this is a situation where, because the statement or the phrase is Blue Lives Matter, that they were vindicated in being able to handle him that way? Excuse me. Or do you feel that, hey, he should have been treated as a human regardless? If he was wrong, yes, get him out the vehicle. Yes, arrest him. Yes, take him to jail if that is in fact what needs to happen in that moment. But to knock out the window, punch him in his face, as you saw in the video, drag him out the car, throw him to the ground, and it then also being reported that not only did they throw him to the ground, but they used 2 hands and held his head in the ground. And it's being reported that he did in fact suffer a concussion, broken teeth, as well as some other injuries. So what are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about the video that you've seen? And if you need to see the video again, I promise I do not mind sharing the video again for those of you that may not have seen the video. What are your thoughts? What's going on, brother? I see you just tuned in. Thank you for tuning in, brother. We are currently talking about a new segment on tonight, and it is called In Other News. And so this is where we are sharing news that's trending on social media, a little bit about politics, as well as other local news. So this is a segment that we are looking to discuss frequent. We haven't created an exact frequency yet, but again, that's what we're currently talking about. And the video that we just showed is in fact a video that was recorded back in February of this year, but it was just recently released as in last week, where it described or showed a young man being stopped for allegedly having his headlights out, as well as allegedly not wearing a seatbelt. He shared with the police officers that he could not open his door. He could not roll his window down, and that was the reason why he opened his door. In that video that I showed earlier, you can actually hear the police officer on the other side trying to ask him questions or what have you. And then unfortunately, they broke the window out and they punched him, they drug him out, threw him to the ground, held him down. And allegedly he is suffering or has suffered a concussion, broken teeth, as well as some other injuries from that. Thomas came in and said, "Love you back, brother." Thomas came in and said nothing surprising at all. And that is very unfortunate that in situations like that, where it's told, hey, don't make it about a race thing, right? Don't say anything about race. But then you have a situation like that, which is why, again, the title of that video was Blue Lives Matter, because there were, in fact, officers of different races. So it was not one specific race. There were what appeared to be two African-American men, one Caucasian male, but then there were also two other males that may have been Caucasian, but it could have also potentially been maybe Hispanic or Latino. So not entirely sure. So again, no information has been shared in terms of that. But why did it take that excessive force to arrest him? He was speaking calmly, he was cooperative. They asked him for his license and registration. He at that time asked, hey, can you please get your supervisor out here? What should be done in that manner, right? What else was there to do? What else is there to do in a situation like that? Based off of what you guys saw in the video, did it not look as if he was cooperative to you? Now, of course, there are some that may say, hey, well, that was just one angle. That was one viewpoint of the video. And ordinarily, I would definitely say, yes, I could totally see that. With me being able to see the other video that was allegedly the body cam footage from the Jacksonville, Florida police officer, it actually showed everything that you just saw in that video. It literally showed the very exact same thing on the body cam. The only difference is when the young man opened his door and said, hey, why am I being stopped? Why are you pulling me? And the officer said to him, well, you're being pulled because your headlights were not on and you did not have on your seatbelt. And he immediately said, hey, can you please call your supervisor? He said that in that video. So what are your thoughts on that? While you guys are typing, I would definitely say that this is a time where all races should band together, should pull together and say, listen, this has been going on for too long. This is, there's obviously unity, right, in numbers. There, so much groundbreaking things can happen when everyone kind of band together. And so it shows, like, not to get too far off topic, but it shows with how Target has lost so much money with just the Black consumers no longer supporting or not supporting as much as they have in the past. So the same exact thing has to happen in order to have things such as what was just shown stop happening. And again, this is not just for the African-American race, but this is also for Hispanics, anyone that's of color that unfortunately have to deal with something of that nature. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue to move right along. If you guys have anything that you would like to share, you absolutely can share. I will be looking at the comments, but I also want to make sure. Okay, I see a comment here, and then we shall move on. All right. So Kim came in and said, it's unfortunate that this happens when you are simply requested a supervisor to speak to. Exactly. When you're asking for a supervisor, you're asking for a lieutenant. In this case, you're asking for just anyone that can come out and they can help in this situation, especially if you weren't resisting. The video didn't show him resisting. He just simply asked, hey, can you call your supervisor? Based off of what was seen, and like I said, based off of what I saw from the body cam footage, it did not appear that he was resisting. He just simply said, I take that back. Let's go back. In the body cam footage, the officer asked, can you please give me your license and registrations? License and registration. He said, no, can you please contact your supervisor? Those were the words that he said in the body cam footage, allegedly off of the Jacksonville, Florida police officer. I saw that footage in comparison to the footage that I just showed you. So in a case such as that, should the chief have been contacted? Should a supervisor have been contacted to allow him with that piece? Because who knows? In that video, you know, one can come up with their own opinions about what the video kind of looked like. But in that video, it appeared to me that he may have been afraid. But again, I don't want to speculate. What are your thoughts? What do you think based off of the video? Do you think that he appeared scared in that video? Do you think that he was, you know, concerned, hey, if I open this door, if I give my license and registration, what will potentially happen? What do you think? And while you guys are doing that, I will be loading up the next video. All right. And again, if I see your comments, I will in fact respond to your comments. So here is the next video.
Locking the door. And bitch, yeah, and my keys up here. Fuck you in. And my keys up here. Bitch. Bitch. Get out. I'm my mama. My keys up in here. I just told you that. Call them. What you talking about? I'm sorry. They all shot. Get out. Fuck. I'm sorry. I'm my mama. I told you don't play with me when my kids here, ho. Yeah, she.
Wednesday night in southeast Shelby County that sent one woman to the hospital. The Shelby County Sheriff's Office determined the shooting was self-defense. It happened on Autumn Harvest Lane just before 10 o'clock. Deputies say Kamari Burnham, DeJuan Payne, and Naya Kelly went to a woman's home, kicked in the door, and refused to leave. Investigators say the homeowner shot Burnham because she was afraid for her own safety and her children's. He is now in non-critical condition. Burnham, Payne, and Kelly all charged with aggravated burglary.
And so what are your thoughts on that? Just to kind of give you, well, I don't even have to give you the backstory because it was just shown in that video clip that they actually went to the young lady's home. She shared with them, get out. They broke in. It was around 10 o'clock. She shared with them, get out. So she ran into one of the rooms in the home where her kids were, and she repeatedly shared with them to get out. Unfortunately, they did not get out, and so she did fire what appears to be 1 to 2 shots at them, hitting one of the person. The person is in fact alive, and it was reported that he did not sustain any life-threatening injuries, but I just want to kind of check with you and see what are your thoughts about that. Hey, you know, being able to defend your home, you know, thinking what is your peace, what is your sanctuary, right? Only for it to be broken into, and you sharing, hey, please get out, and then they don't, and then you fire a shot. What are your thoughts on that? Because based off of what we saw, this happened in Memphis, which is Shelby County, based off of what the video said, but it was in Memphis, and that happened on July 16th. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, hey, you know, she gave them fair warning. She shared with them that, hey, I got my kids in here, get out. They did not get out. She shot, again, she shot the young man. And so what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that? I could definitely say that, while I'm waiting on you guys to respond, I could definitely say that I feel that, she was right in protecting her home. She was right in protecting her children. If she did not protect her children, who would have? Sure, she could have called the police, but being awakened at night, not knowing, what's going on, you hear somebody breaking into your home, your first instinct is to do what? Protect, right? Kim came in and said she was absolutely correct. Right. What else was she supposed to do in that moment? She didn't even have time to contact the police. Honestly, if you break into my house at 10 o'clock, the first thing I'm going to do is go into protection mode and then ask questions later. I'm telling you, get out. You had to travel. Even if the apartment, and I'm just hypothetically speaking, if the apartment home was only 650 square feet, you would have to walk from that front door of that apartment to wherever that bedroom was, right? So that means you came in there with the intent to either A, burglarize the home, B, maybe you guys had some kind of, altercation or what have you. But nonetheless, that was her home. She said, get out. You didn't get out. She shot. And based off of what we're seeing, based off of what's being reported, she is not in any trouble because it was, in fact, self-defense. And those three individuals were charged with first-degree aggravated assault, aggravated burglary. So what are your thoughts on that? I feel that was a fair judgment. I feel that, that was there. And I think they should be thankful that it did not go another way, because it could have been a deadly shooting, even with her saying, hey, don't come into my home. So what are your thoughts on that? I'm looking at the comments. Thank you again, Kim, for saying that, she was absolutely correct in protecting her home. She was absolutely correct in protecting her home. And so, all right, the other, so Kim came in and said the other video I saw said she knew the guy and he brought the girls there. Why would three people go to rob her and her kids? That is a valid point. Why, allegedly, why would you go into someone's home to rob or go kick down the door, period, with someone and their kids being in the home? It is believed that they may not have known that she had a gun in the home, but luckily she used and did what she needed to do to protect her and her children. It could have definitely turned out another way, but the three individuals that went and broke into the home, they are in fact alive. The person that got shot did not sustain any life-threatening injuries. And again, they have been charged with first-degree aggravated burglary. All right. So without further ado, I do want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for allowing me to kind of talk to you about the new segment, which is in fact In Other News. In Other News, again, is a segment that we'll talk about some things that have been trending on social media. We'll talk a little bit about politics. And when I say a little bit about politics, as well as other news, maybe local news. And so we've had the opportunity, just to give you a recap, we had the opportunity to talk about the dental negligence that occurred in Greensboro, North Carolina on July 17th, where unfortunately a 2-year-old went in for caps and he unfortunately passed, and no information was provided to the parents immediately. They had to go to the hospital where the child was declared deceased. We also talked about Malcolm Jamal Warner passing on July 20th in Costa Rica while he was swimming with he was out on vacation with his family, with his wife and his daughter, and it is being reported that the current was too high, and unfortunately he was not able to swim out. And those close to him stated that he was in fact a great swimmer, but unfortunately the current appeared to be too high and he wasn't able to swim out from that. We also talked about an incident that occurred in February of this year, where a young man was stopped allegedly based off of him having his lights turned off, as well as not wearing his seatbelt. And that was in Jacksonville, Florida. There was a body cam video that was then released once he shared his own personal video. They shared a body cam video, and it basically was saying that, you know, he was not compliant, but he was very compliant based off of what I saw on the body cam, as well as what I saw on his video. And then we also just showed the video there where the young lady was protecting her and her children, where the three individuals kicked in her door at 10 o'clock. And this incident happened on July 16th in Memphis, Shelby County. And so, again, thank you for tuning in for the In Other News segment. We are going to change gears. If I see any comments in the video section, I will, in fact, go back and review those comments. But we're going to change gears a little bit. I'm going to share a video, and we're now going into the traditional topics of the show. Okay, and so I want to share with you a video really quickly.
Both been traumatized. We both been scarred. We both been hurt. We all need therapy. So can we be a safe space for one another? Can you teach me how to love you? Can you teach me how to be compassionate to you? Can you teach me how to be the man that you need me to be? And I'm going to teach you how to be. Because what we got to realize is I come from one environment, you come from one environment. It's impossible for us to see the world the same way. But if we don't talk about it, how can we ever walk the same way? I come from where I ain't even know about no love. My hard work was love for me. Get up in the morning, do this, do that, that's love. You got a roof over your head, that's love. You got food on it, that's love. You come from a whole different environment than him. So when y'all come from two different environments, the only way y'all gonna meet down the middle is y'all talk about what y'all came from, what hurt y'all, and now y'all can help each other move a little forward. We gotta exceed our own expectations.
And so while this video was talking more specific towards relationships, monogamous relationships, I want to broaden that, and I want to talk more about how there's a lot of people that walk around, unfortunately, with trauma that they do not speak about. They do not talk about. It's kind of like a, hey, I put it in the back of my mind kind of thing, and we just won't talk about it, right? We just won't deal with it. Sure, we could talk about the relationship aspect, but sometimes we got to talk about the typical everyday life and what that looks like, and what does trauma look like? Is this something that, you know, we have navigated? Because again, if you haven't navigated through your trauma, what is it that you can kind of expect from a friend? What is it that you can kind of expect from family? What is it that you can kind of expect from a relationship if you haven't been willing to even want to communicate about that? And let's be clear, not everybody knows how to communicate about trauma, right? We understand that. That's the understanding. But you have to at least be willing to get that out. So, of course, with me going to school for therapy, I will always tell everyone, hey, therapists, you just don't know how good therapists are until you try them. Therapist is that person where you can go and you can have a conversation. It's going to be an unbiased response that you're going to get from the therapist. They're going to help you process whatever it is that you're going through. Yes, there are, you know, a lot of programs actually, there's a lot of employee assistant programs that jobs offer. So a lot of this you don't even have to come out of pocket for, but we got to get out of that mentality of not talking about what it is that we have gone through. We have to get out of that headspace, because how is it that, you know, every single time you turn around, something negative is happening? something, you know, you have a negative thought process, you have a negative response to whatever somebody is doing, at some point you have to do some self-reflection and say, hey, you know what? This could stem from some trauma that I may have endured, including that trauma that's way in the back of your mind that maybe you didn't even know that you've had, right? You didn't even realize how much it was impacting you. That's the type of trauma that we're talking about. So again, that video talked more specifically about the relationship between, you know, two partners, but we're not even necessarily talking about that one tonight. We're talking about being able to communicate with friends, family, and a relationship, marriage, if that's, you know, where you are. How can you communicate better through that trauma? All right. And so the first thing that I would share with you is being willing to have the conversation, right? Even if that conversation starts out like, listen, I don't know exactly how to explain it to you, but all I know is when you did that thing right there, when you said that thing to me like that, it made me have this adverse response. It made me have this adverse feeling to what it was that you said. And I might not be able to put into words everything in terms of how it made me feel, but I just want you to know that it made me feel some sort of way. Now, somebody that is 1000% in your corner, somebody that understands that, hey, you know, this person is valuable in my life, guess what they're going to do? Even if they don't necessarily know how to help you fully navigate through that, they're going to ask you, what can I do to help you? Here's something that I've used whenever I was going through a difficult situation. Here's a video that maybe I have, you know, reviewed, and this video was helpful to me. Here is X, Y, or Z, right? That's what people that really genuinely care for you is going to do for you, including those people that maybe they haven't even tried therapy, but they've heard, hey, therapy works really good, right? But ultimately, the point being is being able to communicate through that trauma. So with that being said, we come to our first question of that topic. What are some ways that you have worked on your own trauma? What are some ways that you have identified and at least started the process? And this is not to say, hey, you've reached the level of completion. This is, I like to tell people all the time, and I'm just keeping it very honest, I'm a work in progress, right? So to me, I have not arrived. I'm simply a work in progress. So the question to you is, what are some things that you may have used or worked through in terms of trauma? I can use one example where it took the longest time for me to realize that I was, and I've shared this on the platform before, but that's the first example that came up, where I was angry. And honestly, initially, I did not know why I was angry, right? It wasn't until I was about 23, 24, where I realized that I was literally carrying around anger. And it wasn't until I started studying to become a counselor that I realized that the anger stemmed from the void of not having my father present in my life. That's where my anger came from. So being able to identify that, being able to be self-aware, being able to take the necessary, measures, whether that's positive affirmation videos, whether that's connecting with a therapist. Those are all things that I have done. So much so, fast forward to about 3 years ago, I have now shifted into becoming a caregiver to someone that was absent for the vast majority of my life. So that within itself was a lot to navigate. So that's that trauma, right? That was a lot to navigate. That was something that I was talking to my therapist about, because it all happened around the same time of, unfortunately, losing my mom. So now I got two things that's happening at once: the loss of my mom, as well as now having to become the caregiver to someone that was not present for me majority of my life. I'm 36. My dad used drugs. I don't know all the drugs, but I know one of the drugs that he used was crack cocaine. He used that for at least 33 years of my life. That I do know. And so that was, again, a lot of trauma for me. And that was something that I continued to work with my therapist on. I had my therapist on retainer. I reached out to my therapist frequently. When I first started out, we did 8 sessions back to back. When I first started, 8 sessions back to back. And then after that, I gradually, moved to one, every other week, and then once a quarter. And then, hey, I'm just going to keep you on retainer for whenever I need assistance. Right. And so I think we have to kind of talk about that. So again, what are some things that you've done? And you don't have to go into great detail about trauma that you may have endured. But my question to you is, what is something that you have done to address some of the trauma that you have endured in your life? What are some things that you've done to address some of the trauma that you've had in your life? So I just gave you one example. Of course, I'm going to continue to entertain you while I'm looking at the chat. So please get those fingers to typing, get those fingers to swiping, not swiping from the video, but swiping. If you swipe the text, I'm looking. Come on now. Come on. I'm looking forward. Another thing that kind of, stood out to me was when I was a kid. I remember being labeled as the bad child, right? I remember being labeled as the bad child, not because any of the teachers took the time to sit down and say, well, wait a minute, why is he acting out in class? He has great grades. He has A's and B's, have always had A's and B's throughout school. Why is it that he's acting up, right? So that was traumatic to me when I heard that I was the bad child, right? Another incident still in the same wheelhouse. I remember, and may this teacher rest in peace. She has since passed. I remember my aunt and my mom, Aunt Jean, if you're watching this, I love you, girl. My Aunt Jean and my mom, we went out to open house, and my aunt and my mom are literally they were about the same height. May my mom rest in peace. They were about the same height. And the teacher did not see that my mom was behind my aunt. So, excuse me, my aunt went to the teacher because my aunt knew the teacher. And she said, hey, is Jarvis in your class? No, that bad boy is not in my class. And she said it with a straight face. And so my aunt was taken back, like, what? So my mom then steps out from behind my aunt and was like, listen, what you're not going to do is you're not going to be talking about my child. You're not going to be doing that. If my child has done something, please, by all means, contact me as his parent. But you're not going to just sit here and scandalize his name, or, do all of what y'all kind of do in the background as teachers, right? Or whatever. And y'all kind of have a conversation, because there's some things that's intended to be what? Kitchen table talk or lunchroom talk, or break room talk. But you don't say certain things out where there's other kids that can kind of hear, So while we pause for a quick second on that, and I'm going to read the comment. Sierra came in and said, God, building my relationship with him, therapy, meditation, removing people from my space, reading books, podcasts. Sierra also came back and said, protecting peace and make that a priority. Yes. 10s across the board. I see nothing that you said that I would add, because you're right. There needs to be a balance. Matter of fact, I don't even like to use the word balance anymore. I like to use harmony. There needs to be some harmony that's established, right? There needs to be a moment where you go to therapy, then, or at least have somebody that you can kind of get these things out with. Because sometimes therapy may not necessarily work for everybody, but you don't know if it works for you unless you try. Absolutely try, God. We're not trying to push any type of religion on anybody if that is not something that you participate in. But I am a believer of God, and I know I've tried them for myself, and I know for a fact it works. So absolutely, sister, on that. Removing people from my space. One thing I used to do, and I need to get back to that. One thing I used to do is I called it purging season, right? I would purge people out of my life, because it's like, wait a minute. Every time you come around, nothing good is going on in your life. Every time you come around, you always got an attitude about something that's going on. Every time you come around, it's just negative. I got to protect my peace. So the purging season was something that was live and in effect. And I would definitely say that, hey, I think I need to go back and revisit that. You know what I mean? Because like Sierra said, you have to be mindful of those people that's in your space. Because again, I've made a video on TikTok, but we're here now, so I'm gonna tell you. I made a video about those succubus in your life. Those people that come in your life to literally drain you, right? But you have to be mindful and you have to understand that, hey, how long will I allow that to continue to happen? How long will it be before you then become depressed? How long will it be before you then develop anxiety? How long will it be before you then end up developing whatever else? Because you are now consuming all of what this person is giving. Now you can't go to that person and have a conversation with them, because before you can get it out your mouth good, they're already telling you something else that's negative that had them on. Something else negative that has occurred, so to speak. Right? So absolutely, Sierra, I definitely appreciate you for sharing that. Going back to the story real quick, and then we're going to move forward. So what I learned in that moment, the work wasn't challenging enough. It wasn't until I got to high school where the work became a little more challenging. So in that particular case, again, this was childhood. So I don't know that I necessarily dealt with the trauma other than graduating, right? Other than channeling my energy from being the class clown, so to speak, to channeling my energy to being more, productive. But I don't know that I necessarily dealt with that part of trauma as a kid. So touche, I don't know. All right. So with that being said, actually Sierra helped with this next part of it. She didn't even know based off of what she just said in the comments. And so I'm going to play this video real quick, and then we're going to unpack that. And then guess what else we're going to do? We're going to be wrapping this thing up real quick. So check this video out real quick.
It's like I was drowning, but nobody knew I was drowning. The only way people were going to realize that I was, okay, yes, cool. Yeah, it's touchy for me because I haven't shared it with anybody. I said the only way people were going to realize that I was drowning is if I completely drowned. And I can't say anything to anybody because I got to make sure you're fixed. I got to make sure you're good. I got to make sure everybody's good.
And so that video cut out a little bit toward the end because, of course, that was a snippet of it. But I wanted to kind of talk to us as the strong ones, right? So you know who the strong ones are. You know whether you are the strong one, right? You know what that looks like. You know always having to be that pillar of hope for somebody. You know always being that person, that beacon of light for someone. You know always being that shoulder to cry on for someone. You know always being that person to catch somebody when they fall. You know about always being able to be that person that somebody comes to for advice because of the situation, right? But those of us that are the strong ones, we need the space too. And so Sierra just came in and I saw that she said, "Ooh, that was heavy." And so I said that to say, and I'm getting chills thinking about that. I'm getting chills, and I'll just leave it there. I would definitely say that I think sometimes people forget to check on the strong ones, right? Those people that you can call whenever you need something. Those people that you can call to bounce an idea off of. Those people that you can call, because you are not having, the best day or the best week or the best month, right? Those people that you can call. But you got to understand that you are dumping on them. And they may or may not have an outlet where they can then get that out. So then, unfortunately, that turns into depression as well as possible other mental health issues, right? And so what I challenge you to do, before you call that strong one, before you go directly into what it is that you're navigating or what it is that you've experienced, ask them, how are you doing? And don't stop at that first, how are you doing? Take it a step further. No, really, how are you doing? Because that first one is the general, how are you doing, right? But when you ask that second one, when you dig a little bit deeper, when you hear that there might be something that don't sound quite right in their voice, that's the one that you want to talk to. That's the part of that person that you want to talk to, because they might be having, excuse my French, but y'all know here at Checking In with Pam LLC, we keep it real. They might be having a shitty day. They might have had a shitty week. You know what I mean? So instead of going directly into what your issues are, ask that person how they are feeling. Check in with them. Check it in with Pam LLC. Check in with them to really, really see how they are doing before you go straight into dumping. Before you go into dumping, because again, you don't know what it is that they're doing or what they've dealt with, right? And then if you are people like me, now I'm gonna be honest, because I am a person where I want to make sure my people are always good, my relationship, I want to make sure my family is good, I want to make sure that my friends are good, I want to make sure those extended family, family members are good. So oftentimes when I call, I'm literally just checking on you, right? When I text, I'm literally just checking on you. My friends that's really, really close to me, they'll tell you, Jarvis don't call me to dump. Jarvis don't call me just to say he's been having a shitty ass day. You know why? You know why? Just put in the comment section why. Somebody type in the comment section why. I want to see if y'all really with me. Type in the comment section why. Jarvis, why? Why don't you reach out to people when certain things are going on? Just type why, please. I want to see at least one why. I just want to see at least one why. And you can spell why out, W-H-Y, or literally just the letter Y. Put Y in the comment section, and I want to answer this for you. Put Y in the comment section. Come on. Y'all make me think that y'all just put me on and you're not even really paying attention to what we talking about. I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. Why? Okay, boom. Thanks, Sierra. So the why is because, honestly speaking, for the longest, I felt that people didn't give a damn. I felt that people did not give a damn about what I was going through, what I could have been going through. And oftentimes, people will show up in a moment in time, especially when a tragedy happened. When my mom first passed, people were reaching out to me. I was getting bombarded with messages on a daily basis. Within those messages, start to dwindle to weekly. Within those messages, start to dwindle to bi-weekly. Then those messages, so forth and so on. I ain't gonna drain y'all with all of that, but so forth and so on. And then it was like, wait a minute. Those same people that were calling me to give me uplifting messages then start to call me to dump their problems. But in the midst of calling me to dump their problems, they were not asking me, well, Jarvis, how have you been navigating? How have you continued to go through the grieving process? Because you don't grieve when you don't only grieve when you lose someone. Grieving is the rest of your life as you still are on this side. Excuse me. When you're on this side, grieving will continue to happen. That's just what it is. So my question in that regard is like, well, when you reach out to somebody and you just go straight into dumping, how does that work? How is it that you think, that they're going to be readily available to give you X, Y, and Z, but you may not then give them anything in return? Y'all like this card, by the way? I promise I ain't got ADD. I might have a little bit of ADD, but y'all like the card? While I read this comment, y'all look at the note card here. Let me turn note card. Passionate, aiming, and manifesting LLC. Thank you, friend. So Kim came in and said, that's why when I ask about someone, it's because I genuinely want to know. And I've had a situation where repeatedly when somebody was asking me how I was doing, that was the trigger for me. And so we're gonna tie in the initial topic that we were talking about as well as this one. That was a trigger for me because I was so accustomed to when a person that I was dating, anytime I'm dating and she would ask how I was doing, it wasn't because she was genuine. It wasn't. It was how I could literally, thank you, friend, thank you, homie, thank you, bro. It was literally because she wanted something. And it's like, well, damn. Like, am I only a financer? Am I only good for advice? Am I only good? You know what I mean? And I can't lie. That took a toll on me, you know what I mean? Because it was like, yo. So to Kim's point, I was a person that absolutely had an issue with it because I felt like, unfortunately, whenever that question was asked, it wasn't because it was genuine. It didn't feel genuine. It was because I just want to ask you before I dump my stuff. And that's why I went back to what I said earlier. Sometimes you got to ask the strong ones, you got to ask them beyond the initial, well, hey, how have you been? You got to go beyond that initial, hey, how have you been, right? I'm going to use my best friend, Sierra, on here for an example. We won't go into full details because that ain't none of y'all business. But there has been times that I've reached out to her and I asked her, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. I'm like, that I'm fine is not your traditional I'm fine. But this is also people that you've been talking to for a while. This is also people that you've kind of been able to really, really connect with, and you know the difference in I'm fine. Because if you ask me right now, Jarvis, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good. Because I'm really good. I'm really, truly good. But if you had to ask me maybe, let me see, what day was it last week that I was like, I wasn't bad, but I wasn't in the best of mood. I believe it was last Wednesday. Had you asked me last Wednesday? No. I would have been able to just try to fake the funk, but it wouldn't have lasted. It wouldn't have worked. If you really know me, you would have been able to dissect that, and you would have really been able to go into, you know what I mean? And then my other best friend up here, Thomas, he'll tell you. Sometimes I call him like, nah, bro, what's up? Like, what happened? What's going on? Because I literally want to know, like, I'm checking in. Not because I got nothing to dump on you, but something, you know, whether it been a dream, whether it been just a feeling that I had that I need to reach out to whomever and check on them. That's a real thing. I don't reach out to people to dump on them. I reach out to people to genuinely check on them. So, yeah. So that's, you know, honestly, that's really it. I think it's important for us to check on those strong ones, right? Because sometimes they're carrying things that maybe they haven't even really, really, you know, unpacked. Or maybe they don't know how to unpack. Or maybe they don't really have, you know, they feel like they could be this, that, and more for everyone else, but it's not necessarily something that they have. So check on those strong ones, you guys. Check on those strong ones. And I did not realize that the time is 9:21, and y'all know I have a strong cutoff at 9:30. So with that being said, if you have more comments that you would like to drop, of course, I will read your comments. I will go in, and y'all seen it. I go back and I like to love and I like to interact, but I also like to speak to you guys as well. For those of you that are tuning in, I always like to give you a recap. We actually had a new segment at the beginning of the show tonight, and that new segment was, in fact, entitled In Other News. And In Other News is where we talk about things that are trending on social media. We talk about a little bit of politics, and then we also talk about local news that may have occurred. And so I think it was successful, but for those of you that tuned in, for those of you that's going to review it later on, because I know that I've been reviewing it, and I definitely appreciate you for that. For those of you that, you know, wherever, please give me some feedback. Send me some feedback. For those of you that join on Facebook, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, please give me feedback. It felt good doing it, but again, I want to check with you to see what your thoughts are on that. And then, of course, we finish off the show for tonight talking about traditional topics as well, like we always do. And so in other news, we talked about the young, the 2-year-old that unfortunately passed when he went to the dentist last week. And that was in Greensboro. That place was called Valley Dental Practice in Greensboro. We also talked about the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner, which happened on this past Sunday, July 20th, out in Costa Rica. We also talked about a video that surfaced of this young man getting hit, drug out the car, window broken by the Jacksonville, Florida police officers. And then we also talked about this young lady in Memphis where 3 individuals kicked in her door. She shared with them, hey, I have my children in here. Please get out. They did not get out. She opened fire. She ended up shooting one of them. No one was killed or no one sustained any life-threatening injuries, but they did. Those 3 individuals that kicked in her door were, in fact, they were charged with first-degree aggravated burglary. And so that's what we talked about in other news. And in the regular topics for tonight, we talked about communicating through trauma and why that is important, as well as checking on the strong ones, because there are a lot of strong ones that you are cool with, connected with, that may not even come to you and tell you that something is going on. So check on them. All right. Check on them. And if you are that one, be okay with, letting it be known, hey, today I'm not okay. And it's okay to not be okay. I am here for you. Anytime that you need to reach out, you can reach out to me here on Facebook, or you can reach out to my YouTube channel. I have posted my YouTube in there, and I do try to look at everything because sometimes all you need is somebody to talk to. All you need is somebody to kind of bounce some information off of. All right. And we got some new cards here. Some new note cards. I feel like I'm a little official with this. So tell me how y'all like the note card. So yeah, I'm excited about that. But nonetheless, I definitely, as always, appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for always supporting me. If you called me at the beginning, I appreciate you. If you called me somewhere in the middle, I appreciate you. If you catch me at the end, I appreciate you. If you go back and look at it tomorrow when you don't necessarily want your picture to be shown, that's okay. I get it. I receive it. I appreciate you. Please share this. Please, comment. Tell me something that you would like to see on the show. I promise you, I'm one of those ones that I receive. I love criticism, constructive criticism, that is. So be careful how you say it, but I love constructive criticism. I think there's a certain way to deliver stuff. But if there's something that you would like to see on the show, please, please, please share with me. I would love, love, love to incorporate that. All right. I also do have another one. I referenced it before, but the show is called, the segment is called Docket. And look, you guys, I got my gavel here. I got the thing that you hit the gavel on. I got all the stuff. Like, we about to be outside. We are about to dissect these cases together. So please send me some things that you would like to be on Docket. I was trying to keep it more current, but I'm starting to realize that there's a lot of things that's happening in the world, right? So sometimes, you might have to pull some old stuff up to talk about. But nonetheless, I want you guys to be a part of it, because you guys are my supporters, and I definitely appreciate you. So without further ado, it is, in fact, encroaching on the 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time frame. So I definitely appreciate you guys. And my favorite saying, we will be black next week. Peace. Love you. Let me know what you need, what you want us to talk about on the show. Have a good night.